Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about a rather controversial issue called abortion. Over 40 million abortion procedures are done every year around the world. Just because we have innumerable ones done, it doesn't make it right. We see roughly 47,000 women die per year because of the unsafe ones that are being conducted or performed. According to abort73.com, about 1.06 million abortions took place in the U.S. in 2011. Now, this data might not be complete due to possible lack of compliance from California and or some other states, but we could roughly say that it's near the ballpark of a million or maybe even a little over per year in recent years in the United States alone. So we're accounting for about 1 in every 40 in the United States. Now, I do see this as an extermination or eradication of a human life. Whether the baby feels it or not, I don't think it's a relevant issue. We see approximately 20% of pregnancies end up in abortion. Now, what I don't understand too is you see these abortions taking place, but yet you'll see some others give birth to some children, and then they might say, okay, well, why don't I abort this one? There's very few places that are illegal with no exemptions or exceptions in the world. I think it should be a situation where abortions should be illegal worldwide, globally, and if somebody has an abortion and then it's deemed illegal throughout the world, then they should be serving life in jail due to the fact that they had to take one. Now, we could see, like, in a worst case scenario, could be adoption. Now, if a woman, let's say, gets raped, hypothetically, now the woman may not want to take care of the child because maybe in some cases, I understand, it could be a reminder of the rape situation that took place, and a reminder of that man might bear resemblance to that child. Therefore, the woman may not want to have the child. Well, you just simply put it up for adoption. Now, somebody left a comment on some page regarding some abortion post recently in my realm and on my Facebook experience, and it said a person said something to the effect, well, do you realize how hard it is, or how difficult it can be, the process in order to put a child up for adoption? You can't just drop it in an adoption box and it just happens real easily. Well, it might not be a quick or facile thing. Now, I understand adoptions procedures can be very painstaking, time-consuming, and tedious, but it's worth the effort to do that rather than exterminate a life. I'd rather put a child in a quote-unquote adoption box as opposed to a termination box. Now, there's somebody, according to mccl.org, it states, quote-unquote, unborn babies can feel pain after 2 weeks gestation. Now, I looked on the internet and it seems to be conflicting ideas regarding this. Some say it's not irrefutable evidence that that they do feel pain, or they don't. But I don't know if it's not up to us to just say, well, who cares whether they do or not? The point is, you're still killing life. The baby didn't ask to be born into the world, and I don't care what embryonic stage the baby's in, if it's 1 week old or if it's closing in on the 9 months when it's about to be due. It's not relevant. I think some things that people can do and really maybe say proactive, perhaps an online petition, if if they're not existing already. I'm sure there's some in existence. Spreading the word somehow, writing to prominent government, congressional leaders in their countries, saying that they don't want any abortion, period, without any exemptions or exceptions. Now, there's Mississippi, according to About.com, has just one abortion facility in the whole state. Now, maybe there's more now. I'm not really sure, but I'm just going about what I saw on that website. Now, perhaps an idea would be to maybe diminish the amount of abortion clinics in the U.S., for example, or around the world, and it might give the person less incentive or impetus to actually go through the process if they have to travel a little further in order to do it. I mean, the way I see this is that the abortion, it is a life that you're taking. You could potentially take it. A life is seized. And we look at this like we wouldn't want somebody just taking our life unnecessarily. There's enough murders that go around in this world. We don't need to just go around indiscriminately, almost just saying, oh, well, we're going to abort this child. We're going to take the child's life. Now, I respect the opinion of others that someone says, well, gee, isn't it my prerogative? Isn't it my right to do that if I want? This is in my body. Well, if you want to be technical, we all have a right to make whatever decision we want. It doesn't necessarily mean it's really the right one, or it's a decision that should be condoned by society. That's the way I look at it. The one thing that can, I think, we look at this thing, I'm not saying that people that have abortions, I'm not going to say they're evil or anyway. It's usually not a malicious thing when a woman wants to have an abortion. That it's just sometimes it's about convenience. It's about the fact, well, they don't have the capability of taking care of the baby. It could be an unplanned child, like I stated before, the rape scenario. You might have something that resulted in a lack of protection from the man prior to having sex, just something that was unplanned, and it wasn't something that was deliberate. There was no intention of having the child. Or it could be a scenario where maybe the woman originally had the intention of having a child, and it was planned and premeditated, but there was some financial crisis or something took place which changed the woman's mind, and the woman found out maybe near the end of the pregnancy or what have you, that she didn't have the funds that were going to be feasible to take care of the child. Well, like I said, this all goes back to the abortion. I mean, to the adoption scenario, and I think that this should be something where I feel this is a plausible solution. Abortions should be illegal, period, everywhere, without exception. And we look at some people, so I like it when someone will say, well, why don't we get the baby in its early stages? Maybe it probably won't feel anything. Well, here's the way I look at it. I don't know, not to be that harsh or anything, but is that much different than shooting the person in their sleep? Also, I believe the one thing that should be aborted is the idea of having an abortion. This is Edwin Learnard. Until next time, people, stay well.